America is regarded as a country with a ravenous appetite for consumption. Today, a widespread fondness for pharmaceuticals has turned the U.S. into a nation of pill poppers.
Bipolar depression doesn't have to consume you. Here's me, and here's my depression.
You know when you feel the weight of sadness. You may feel exhausted, hopeless, and anxious.
According to the U.S. government, antidepressant use among Americans has increased nearly 400% in the past 2 decades. Published reports find that 1 in 5 adults take at least one drug for mental health disorders. With over $14 billion in annual sales, antipsychotics remain America's top-selling therapeutic class of prescription drugs.
Hi YouTube, it's the 16th of the 1st, 2012, and this is the Hove Lagoon webcam, which is about half a mile from where I live. And this big ball of energy here, this light source, which is over a small street lamp, has now been joined to the left by another light source, which is quite worrying. I've seen a lot of strange things on this webcam, and here again I've recorded something very strange that happened last night. I think they're being fed by a sort of plasma energy of sorts. Anyway, I'll let you watch the video. Also, the light sources react with a light over the ocean. So I'm not quite sure what they're doing here, whether they're heating the ocean or I really don't know. I just don't like what I see on this webcam. This area at Hove Lagoon is totally Illuminati. It has pyramid stands all over the place, like the Olympic stands. And it has ion signs everywhere. It's just a very peculiar and totally Illuminati area. It also has big metal towers. I think you call them Gwen towers. I'm not sure if it is a Gwen tower, but it's something very odd that I haven't seen anywhere else. The new light source appeared yesterday.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, January 16th, 2012, and I'm Darko. This is my website, ggnonline.com. You can put in your email address here and receive updates. I've just posted a new poll up here. Do you believe there will be a military conflict with Iran this year? And so far, 75% say yes. One person, 25% saying maybe. Check out the first video and you'll see some background on this whole conflict and how it's actually boosting oil prices and the dollar and that. So I have a news archive over here. You can check that out. Also on YouTube, it's ddarko2012, and you can check out all the links that are posted in this video in the YouTube's video description. So please check those out. All right, so we just saw this video with these orbs, and when I came across this, the first thing I thought about was a video that I posted on Facebook, which is this right here. I posted it on Saturday, Exopolitics TV. Get that out of the way. Aerosol war crimes. Now this is, if you guys aren't familiar with Carnicom, he is like the guru on what people refer to as chemtrails, and I agree with him. If you watch this video, he doesn't like to call it chemtrails. That's why I usually will refer to it as aerosols or spraying or weather modification, because that's the actual term that is used. And by calling it chemtrails, you're actually playing into the whole disinfo thing where people will laugh at you and call you a conspiracy theorist. But if you start reading into the documents, the Air Force white papers and owning the weather in 2025, they don't use chemtrails, and you don't need to. You just go in there and check this out. But basically, he'll help you with the whole argument of saying you don't even need to go to the planes and the chemtrails. All you have to know is that there's aerosols being sprayed, that they're hitting the ground, that the weather is being modified. So you don't have to play into that game of, oh, chemtrails. I gotta, we gotta be able to spot it coming out of the plane to be able to prove that it's happening. No, you don't. But one of the main points, or not the main point, but one of the points, the uses of this spraying of these aerosols is creating a plasma field, and that's what he goes in there and he talks about, comparing it to like a neon tube. They're spraying aerosols and they're creating they're basically trapping all these aerosols and gases in that, and they're creating a plasma, a form of possibly untapped energy. So the first thing I thought was craft, was actually using that for craft to be able to travel at light speed in our atmosphere. But I will post a link for this. You can go check that out. And while we're on the subject, with weather modification, we have what? Behavior modification, which is a term that I like to use instead of, quote, mind control. But, chemtrails and mind control, sometimes there's people that aren't familiar with this stuff, so it's just kind of like a general term that they may be able to identify with. So this is something I post just yesterday. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Stuart Swirlo, but he's talked about this before. And I'll just go in there. Woman drives 18 miles down the wrong side of a highway. The first thing I thought was what Swirlo was saying, which was this is a part of a program. And I'll just read you what I wrote in here. This is hardcore programming. I'm sure many of you have experienced these types of programming assaults by external bombardments. This is a perfect example of ELS, satellite transmissions, having a successful imprint on its victims/subject, i.e. to drive into oncoming traffic. The most challenging aspect is deciphering what thoughts are emanating from oneself and external forces/sources. So there you go. I personally have had that before, where you have that feeling. It's not coming from you, and that's just a good example of what is happening to mankind right now. And also you have California man suspected of poisoning wife's Rice Krispies. And North Carolina man dies a day after killing 3 co-workers. I'll go ahead and finish up with this and read what I wrote. I'm coming across stories of people who are feeling the ELF pulses. It has escalated recently, and I expect to see more of these types of stories. Unfortunately, this is an assault on humanity, much like the spraying of aerosols. So there you go. Okay, 18-hour outbreak of violence stuns New Orleans. This is actually also tied into this. This is a good example of how this technology can be used for political purposes to strip freedoms. Less than a week after New Orleans mayor touted a string of peaceful and well-managed city events capped by BCS championship game, he was back at the podium on Friday trying to reassure residents that the upsurge in violence was being dealt with. Now, what does this do? This helps the same individual who just on December 19th called for what? Martial law. Lawmaker wants military patrols after child's murder. So there you go. You see how that can be used? Just like the what was it? Not Fort Hood, but basically the Mount Rainier, the mountain where that military vet went out there and started shooting. That's a good way to impose gun control. Which out west, in Oregon, all that, it's a big deal out there, gun control. Again, tied with weather modification, dozens of turtles found dead. This was from January 9th, and it goes on here, and it says one of the theories is that it may have been the turtles got cold stunned. Well, one of the things about what they're doing with this spraying of aerosols is that they're modifying the jet streams. That's what they're doing. And of course, when they spray, it could actually also create like a microwave effect, so it could actually heat it. So when they spray, they're not fighting global warming; they're actually causing the warming. And again, carbon tax. That is the ultimate thing right now. Is they want to push the carbon tax. They come back and they'll go away and they'll come back. So this is another way to do that. So it could have been cold stun, but why was that happening? Are we heading into an ice age? Or is this actually being done because of the modifying the jet streams? Or is it they're just being shocked, pulsed? I don't know. Maybe something like that, HARP type stuff. Also, you have, the BP oil spill. So there's also that. But we had birds falling out of the sky again in Arkansas and in Italy just right around New Year's. So I'm tending to go towards the jet streams. Then we have up to 30 dolphins beach on Cape Cod, 10 to 12 dead. And of course, they don't have any answers. The cause of the beaching could not be immediately determined, nor will it ever be determined. And if it is, it's not going to be released to the public. The Navy is depending on dolphins to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. So, U.S. Navy has a backup plan to save 1/5 of the world's daily oil trade. Send in the dolphins. So the first thing I think, of course, is what? Is Atlantis. So, in Atlantis, the mythical place, right? Dolphin frequencies and that dolphins and animals were actually hybrided with humans and stuff like that, and they were really into technology and weather weapons. And so this is the first thing I thought of. But here's the crazy part, okay? Now this is why I'm not for this at all. For all those neocons to say, yeah, we gotta do what we gotta do. You know, we gotta attach friggin' lasers to the dolphins' heads and stuff like that. It's like, okay, it's the same organization, the U.S. Navy, that's actually killing dolphins with their radar, and they know this. They know this, that it's affecting the dolphins, and it kills them, and it puts them off course and stuff like that. So they're using them like that. I mean, that's. You can, I don't know, I'm not going to go into it, but this is just really messed up. So I'm going to keep moving. Italy's most hated man, Facebook anger at skipper of doomed cruise liner who abandoned ship hours before passengers. So that's loyalty as a captain. There has been a lot of ships. I was covering that last week. Ships going down. Rough waters. I said actually the title of the article or the video was, symbolic rough seas. And then you have all these ships going down. A study, simple measure could reduce global warming and save lives. All right, you guys ready for this? Just strap on your seatbelts because here it comes. To slow climate change, we have to cut down on the soot, ozone. It says here, a growing number of scientists say that reducing black carbon, mostly soot from burning wood, charcoal, and dung, all natural things that have been done for thousands of years, would have an immediate and powerful impact. Now, here we go. Black carbon. So we have to remove black carbon to help stave off global warming. Okay, here we go. This is Chapter 4, Concept of Operations, Owning the Weather in 2025. And what do we go when we go down here? It says here, black carbon dust. The technology can be described as follows. Just as black tar roof easily absorbs solar energy and subsequently radiates heat during a sunny day, black carbon also readily absorbs solar energy. When dispersed in microscopic or dust/aerosols form in the air over a large body of water, the carbon becomes hot and heats in surrounding the air, thereby increasing the amount of evaporation from the body of water below. As the surrounding air heats up, parcels of air will rise and the water vapor contained in the rising air parcel will eventually condense to form clouds. Over the time, the cloud droplets increase in size as more and more water vapor condenses, and eventually they become too large and heavy to stay suspended and will fall as rain or other forms of precipitation. So you see how the obvious is always just swept aside and you're fed this BS? Like I said before, it's an insult to my intelligence. So collecting rainwater, now illegal in many states, as Big Brother claims ownership over our water. Next up, radioactive. So even if you do want to do this, radioactive iodine in rainwater. So go ahead and collect it and you'll have radioactive iodine in it. Public was in the dark, and this, of course, is in Canada. Next up, critical update to scientific literature. No evidence for effectiveness of anti-depressants in treating mild depression. So there you go. All these people taking these pills, and they don't even do anything. So there is a pill that you can take. It's called the red pill, and you can wake the F up. And you may not be depressed anymore because you'll realize that the government's a big scam, and you might become free and prosperous and see other people that are free and prosperous and healthy, and you won't be so sad. So it says here, Australia experts call for energy drink warnings, as at least 128 people have been hospitalized, including heart palpitations, agitation, stomach upsets. More serious issues include seizures and hallucination. So the American Red Cross, which is known for having all these donations from these good people that want to help, like people like Haiti and Japan, that go down a black hole and never seen again, i.e. they don't go to the people they're supposed to. American Red Cross cited by FDA for blood safety rule violations. They said it raises the risk that ill-suited blood will be used in transfusions, kind of like the VA where a bunch of veterans got HIV. So just like this weaponized bird flu that's been created, saying it's going to get in the wrong hands. Yeah, it's going to get in the wrong hands. It's going to get in the government's hands, and they're going to release it whenever they put on the big show, the big apocalypse. India reports new TB strain resistant to all drugs because it's a bioweapon. It's not meant to. DHS X-ray scanners could be cancer risk to border crossing. So come on over. We can use your work, and while you're at it, you'll get a nice low dose of healthy radiation. Then TSA to test its airport scanner operators for radiation exposure. Are UN soldiers responsible for bringing deadly cholera bug to the Americas? Scientists say yes. I also think that they brought it into Somalia just recently. And Dr. McCullough says you should refuse to eat these GM foods. They could destroy your reproductive organ. And a private firm in Florida is planning to initiate the release of GM mosquitoes, probably carrying this weaponized bird flu. No joke. Monsanto's GMO corn approved despite 45,000 public comments in opposition. And finally, FDA finally admits chicken meat contains cancer-causing arsenic. Gracias.